I paid for a new apartment for my mother-in-law, did all the paperwork, furnished the place, and made sure she had everything she needed. A week later, I overheard her bragging to her friends that pathetic son-in-law is too stupid to realize that we are going to leave him homeless and move with our daughter into his place. She called me a loser, laughed at how easily manipulated I was, and even mocked my family behind my back. I didn't react, just smiled. That was a few months ago. Yesterday, my wife and mother-in-law texted, "Please respond to her." I've never been the type to share my personal life online, but at this point, I honestly don't know if I'm seeing things clearly anymore. It feels like I'm living in some bad reality show, except there's no camera crew to call cut. I'm Dylan, I'm 32, and I've been married to Kelly for almost 7 years now. We don't have kids yet, which has always been a sore subject for her mom, Martha. Martha's one of those people who needs to make everything about herself. I used to think it was just her personality, overbearing, sure, but harmless. That changed last December. It all started when Martha's lease was up and she made a huge deal about how she didn't want to end up in some depressing little shoebox apartment. Kelly's an only child and Martha's always had a way of wrapping her around her finger. So, of course, we end up talking about helping her out. I didn't love the idea. I won't lie. But Kelly was stressed and I figured we could manage it. We were doing okay financially and I didn't want to be the bad guy. So I got involved, and by got involved, I mean I did everything. I spent weeks researching rentals, handling the paperwork, driving Martha to viewings. She nitpicked every single place. One had cheap light fixtures, another had a weird smell. She finally settled on a condo she liked, mostly because it was close to her friends. And I was the one who paid the deposit, signed the lease, and even moved her in. I bought her a decent mattress, set up her Wi-Fi, and spent hours assembling her furniture while she lounged upstairs, scrolling through her phone. The gratitude lasted maybe a week. At first, Martha was all sweet texts and fresh muffins she dropped off as a thank you. Kelly was like, see, she just needed some support. And I tried to believe it. But it wasn't long before things started feeling off. The first red flag came during one of our weekly pizza nights. Martha was over, and out of nowhere, she mentioned, "Well, once you two are settled, we should do something about the decor at your place too." Our place? I asked, trying to laugh it off. "Oh, you know," she waved her hand. "Just a little refresh. I have great taste, you know." Kelly giggled, but I noticed the tension in her shoulders. I brushed it off as Martha just being Martha. But it didn't end there. A few days later, Martha texted me at noon saying she'd forgotten some insurance paperwork at her condo and asked if I could swing by and drop it off after work. I didn't think much of it. It was on my way. When I got there, I heard music blasting from upstairs. As I was about to ring the bell, I heard Martha's voice, loud and clear. She had her phone on speaker and she was talking to her friends. Normally, I'd have ignored it, but the echo carried every word. "He's so gullible, I swear," she laughed. "Bought me this place, does whatever Kelly says, and he has no idea we're going to take the house too." I froze. My heart started pounding in my chest. One of her friends chimed in, "He's lucky you even bothered pretending to like him." Martha giggled. "He's a loser, but he's useful. Men like him just want to feel needed. Let them think they're in control." My face went hot. I stood there, gripping the insurance envelope, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. This wasn't just some annoying mother-in-law. This was a setup. I didn't go in. I didn't confront her. I walked back to my car, sat in the driver's seat, and just stared at the steering wheel. I tried to tell myself I'd misunderstood. That maybe it was a joke. But it didn't feel like one. I called my brother, Zach, and told him everything I'd heard. At first, he laughed, thinking I was messing with him. But when I repeated her words, his voice went quiet. "Dude, that's messed up." "Yeah," I whispered. "And Kelly's right in the middle of it." I went home that night and Kelly could tell something was off. She asked if I was okay and I almost told her. But a part of me didn't want to believe it was real. So instead, I tried testing the waters. "Your mom's got some big plans, huh?" I said, trying to keep my voice casual. Kelly looked at me with a nervous smile. "Oh, you know how she is. Always talking." But she wouldn't meet my eyes. That was all the confirmation I needed. From that point on, I started noticing everything, the whispers between Kelly and her mom, the way Kelly suddenly seemed interested in how the mortgage worked, asking if it would be easier if the deed was in both our names. Martha's texts to Kelly became more frequent, and every time I asked what they were talking about, Kelly would say, "Oh, just mom stuff." But I wasn't an idiot. I could see it. I could feel it. I didn't know how deep it went, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to be their pawn. Not anymore. After that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was living in someone else's nightmare. I tried to convince myself I was overreacting, that maybe Martha was just being dramatic, but every instinct I had was screaming at me to stay alert. So I did. I started paying closer attention to everything. And the more I watched, the more I noticed. Kelly suddenly started bringing the mail straight to her purse instead of leaving it on the kitchen table like she always did. When I asked why, she shrugged it off, saying she didn't want to lose any important letters. Normal, I guessed. But it felt wrong. Then there was Martha. She'd show up at the most random times, like Tuesday morning at 11, claiming she forgot a scarf. But instead of just grabbing it, she'd insist on coming inside, asking Kelly to chat in the bedroom with the door closed. Whenever I'd walk by, they'd go quiet. I knew better than to barge in. Instead, I started keeping track. Not in some creepy, obsessive way, but just notes on my phone, dates, times, what they said. Little things. I even started locking up the file cabinet in our bedroom, putting the key in my pocket. Maybe I was paranoid. But after what I heard, could you blame me? Then it got even stranger. I was on the couch one night when Kelly's phone lit up with a text from Martha. It read, "Have you talked to him about the forms yet?" I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. What forms? When Kelly came out of the shower, I tried to act casual. Hey, did you and your mom figure out whatever those forms were about? She didn't even hesitate. Oh, just some insurance stuff. Nothing you need to worry about. Nothing I needed to worry about. Right? But the next day, I got another surprise. Martha called me while I was out grabbing groceries, claiming she was locked out of her condo. I drove over with the spare key, but when I got there, she was already inside. Oh, I figured it out, she laughed, waving me off. But I wanted to make sure you'd still come help. I forced a smile. Of course. That wasn't the worst of it. Later that week, Kelly came to me and asked if we could transfer some money from our savings because her mom was struggling with groceries. Didn't she have a grocery budget? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She did, Kelly mumbled, avoiding my gaze. But there were some unexpected bills. That was the last straw. I logged into our account and started scrolling through the transactions. Little transfers, all to Martha. For groceries, for cleaning, even for errands. Did you know about these? I asked, holding up my phone. Kelly's face went pale. I mean, she mentioned a few things, but I didn't know it was that much. She was lying. And she was bad at it. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to let them play me. I set up my bank app to send me notifications for every transaction, started screenshotting texts from Martha, and even recorded a couple of their conversations on my phone. Was it extreme? Maybe. But I wasn't going to be blindsided. Then came the family meeting. Kelly told me Martha wanted to sit down and talk about future plans. Just so everyone's on the same page, she said. Fine. Let's get it all out in the open. We met at Martha's condo. She tried to set the stage, coffee, cookies, that fake warm smile she always put on when she was pretending to be sweet. We just want to make sure everything's secure for the future, Martha began, sliding a stack of papers across the table. These are just in case anything happens. Power of attorney, emergency contacts. I glanced at the papers. Half of them were about making Kelly a joint owner of the house, giving her control over my finances if I was ever unwell. I didn't sign anything. I'll think about it. Martha's smile vanished. Don't you trust your wife? I trust myself to read what I'm signing. She slammed her hand on the table. This is for her security. For your family's future. And if it's so secure, we can have a lawyer look it over, I replied, leaning back. Kelly looked between us, her face caught between embarrassment and anger. You're making this a huge deal. I'm making sure nobody gets screwed over, I shot back. Martha stormed out and Kelly followed. I stayed at the table, staring at the untouched coffee and cold cookies. That night, Kelly barely spoke to me. But I didn't care. If they wanted a fight, I wasn't backing down. After that disaster of a family meeting, I knew I couldn't just sit back and hope everything would magically fix itself. Martha wasn't just overstepping, she was trying to take control. And Kelly, she was caught right in the middle, either too blind to see it or too scared to stand up to her. But I wasn't going to sit around playing the clueless husband. Not anymore. First, I locked down my finances. Every joint account we had, I pulled my money out and transferred it into a separate account under my name only. I texted Kelly to let her know, making it clear that she still had access to her own money, but mine was off limits. She didn't take it well. That night, she came home furious. Are you seriously hiding money from me now? She demanded, arms crossed. I'm protecting myself, I replied, keeping my voice even. After that little meeting with your mom, I'm not risking everything I've worked for. You're being paranoid, she shouted, but I didn't back down. Maybe, but at least I'm not being played. Kelly stormed out of the room, slamming the door. I could hear her on the phone with Martha minutes later, her voice muffled but angry. But I didn't care. I had a plan. Next, I went to Martha's condo while she was out for one of her wine nights. I took photos of everything inside, the furniture I'd paid for, the appliances, even the little decorations I'd bought her. If this was going to turn into a legal mess, I wanted proof of exactly what I'd provided. I wasn't done. I changed the locks on my house. The only keys were mine, and I kept a spare at my brother Zach's place. I wasn't going to risk Martha sneaking in or Kelly letting her in while I wasn't home. That didn't go over well either. The next day, Martha showed up at our front door, pounding on it like she was trying to break in. I didn't open it. "Dylan, I know you're in there," she screamed. "This is my daughter's home too. You can't just shut me out." I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, listening to her rant. Finally, she stomped off, her voice fading down the driveway. But it didn't stop there. Kelly came home that night, already upset. "Mom said you locked her out. What is wrong with you?" "What's wrong with me?" I snapped. "What's wrong with you, Kelly? She's trying to take her home and you're just letting it happen. You're blowing everything out of proportion," she yelled. "She's just worried." "Worried?" I laughed, shaking my head. "Worried about taking everything I own." We didn't speak for the rest of the night. And honestly, I didn't care. I had my proof. I had my security. And I wasn't about to let either of them take it from me. But that's when the real games began. Martha started posting all over Facebook these dramatic, passive-aggressive status updates about family betrayal and how some people forget where they came from. Her friends flooded the comments with sympathy, and I knew she was playing the victim, trying to turn everyone against me. Then I started getting texts from random family members, cousins, aunts, all of them asking if I was okay, if something had happened with Kelly. I didn't explain anything. I just told them I was fine and left it at that. But it was like being under siege. Kelly and Martha were relentless. Kelly started making snide comments whenever I was around, little digs about trust and how I was turning into someone she didn't recognize. And Martha? She didn't even bother pretending anymore. She started showing up whenever she wanted, sometimes with her friends, like it was her house. She'd rearrange things, tell me how I should decorate, even scold me for not taking better care of our family home. I stood my ground. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't get physical. I just set my boundaries and stuck to them. One night, I was sitting in the living room, scrolling through my phone, when Kelly burst in, red-faced. "Mom says you're trying to sell her condo." "I'm thinking about it," I replied calmly. Her eyes widened. "You can't do that." "I can. It's in my name." She looked like she was about to explode. "You're punishing her for no reason." "No reason?" I stood up, staring her down. "She's been trying to take everything from me. And you're just standing by, letting it happen." "I'm trying to keep peace," she cried. "No, you're trying to avoid facing the truth," I shot back. "Your mom is a manipulator, and you're too scared to admit it." Kelly didn't have an answer. She just stared at me, eyes filled with tears, before turning and storming out the door. I sat back down, breathing hard, trying to keep my cool. But there was no peace in that house anymore. Every day felt like a new test, a new scheme, a new lie. But I wasn't backing down. Not this time. If they wanted a war, they get one. The tension in the house was a constant pressure. Every day felt like walking on a wire, and I was done pretending that everything was fine. Kelly barely spoke to me, and when she did, it was either an accusation or some snide comment she'd clearly picked up from her mother. But I wasn't backing down. Not after everything I'd seen, heard, and figured out. I was done playing the fool. I decided to take things a step further. I put Martha's condo up for rent. I didn't even tell Kelly. I just listed it, and within days I had a couple of interested renters. When Martha found out, she went ballistic. She showed up at our house, pounding on the door, screaming that I was throwing her out on the street. "You're living there for free," I told her through the locked door. "I've covered your bills, your groceries, even the Wi-Fi. But I'm done paying for someone who treats me like dirt." "You can't do this," she shrieked. "Kelly! Kelly!" Kelly came rushing out, staring at me like I was a monster. "Dylan, this is insane." "Insane?" I laughed, feeling the anger boiling over. "Insane is letting your mother try to take our house while you stand by and do nothing." "I never agreed to that," she cried, but I shook my head. "You never disagreed either. You let her manipulate you, you let her twist you against me, and now you're mad because I finally said enough." Martha tried to shove the door open, but I didn't let her in. "You have 30 days," I told her. "Find somewhere else." She screamed threats, insults, sobbing that I was destroying her life. But I didn't care anymore. I shut the door, locked it, and walked away. Kelly stood there, her face pale. "I can't believe you." "Believe it," I said, and walked past her. The next few weeks were a blur of chaos. Martha called everyone she could, trying to turn them against me. Some of Kelly's family texted me asking what was going on. I didn't bother explaining. I didn't owe them anything. Then Kelly made her move. One night, while I was out, she packed a bag and went to stay with her mom. I came home to an empty house, her side of the closet half empty. And I felt nothing. No sadness, no anger. Just a strange, hollow relief. I didn't text her. I didn't call. I just went on with my life. I focused on work, hit the gym, spent time with my brother Zach, who laughed and said, "Told you she'd finally crack." But I wasn't done. I changed the locks on my house, secured all my important documents, and made sure my finances were locked down. I wasn't giving anyone another inch. Martha's 30 days came and went. She didn't move out. So I sent her an official eviction notice. Legal, signed, and sealed. That's when the calls really started. Kelly, Martha, even some of their friends blowing up my phone, calling me a monster, a manipulator, a heartless bastard. I ignored them. Blocked the numbers. Changed my email passwords just in case. And then the quiet hit. The chaos went silent. No more texts, no more knocking at the door. Even the Facebook drama stopped. I should have felt victorious, but it just felt empty. Kelly didn't come back. Martha didn't try to fight the eviction. The condo got rented out to a nice young couple, and I used the money to pay off some of my own debts. But I wasn't stupid. I knew this wasn't over. People like Martha don't just walk away. They regroup, they scheme. I just had to be ready. It was a Wednesday night, a few weeks later, when I got a text. Kelly's name popped up on my phone. All it said was, "Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time. A part of me wanted to ignore it, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. "About what?" I replied. A few minutes later, "I'm sorry. For everything. I didn't see it. I didn't understand." "Understand what?" I typed back. "Mom's always done this. She controls me. She controls everyone. I didn't see it until you forced her out. I didn't know what to say. I didn't trust her, not yet. But I could see the cracks. I could see that maybe, just maybe, she was waking up to the reality I'd been living for months. I don't know if I can trust you, Kelly," I finally sent. "I know. But can we at least talk?" We met at a quiet cafe the next day. She looked tired, worn out. Nothing like the confident, happy woman I'd fallen for all those years ago. She told me how Martha had turned on her, how the manipulations never stopped even after I'd cut them off. "I didn't want to believe it," she whispered. "But you were right." I leaned back, watching her carefully. "So now what?" "I want to come home," she said. "I want to fix this. Us." I didn't answer right away. I thought about everything, the lies, the betrayals, the endless chaos. But I also saw the fear in her eyes, the shame. "I'm not promising anything," I told her. "If you come back, we do this on my terms. Therapy, boundaries, and your mother? She's out of our lives." She nodded, tears welling up. "Whatever it takes." And for the first time in a long time, I felt a spark of hope. But I wasn't going to be naive. Not anymore. This was a fresh start, but it was going to be on my terms. So she came back. We started therapy. We rebuilt, slowly, painfully. I didn't let my guard down completely, but I saw her trying. And that was enough. As for Martha, I haven't spoken to her since. And I plan to keep it that way. Sometimes you have to burn a bridge to see who's really willing to build one with you again.